Howdy, folks. Welcome to another day in the Milky Way. And Trina's over here cursing already. I swear I can't take her nowhere. So, anyway, how's everybody doing this fine Sunday? How are you doing, Trina?
I'm wonderful. I'm good.
Good.
Yep, we just gave the puppies a bath, and that's always fun. And then they get so excited and they run around, and yeah, so that's fun.
Yeah, I remember when I used to give my pit bull a bath, man, she would just run around circles and then like run up on the couch, run back down, run up and down, like just mad.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it get
But
crazy. It's so funny. Yeah, it's like two of them going crazy. Yeah, they're
man, I
so
remember
sweet.
there was a few times like, you know, during the summer I would let her outside to dry out and stuff. And
Right.
first thing she did a couple of times was like some other dog had been in the yard or something right after you give her bath, and she goes out there and wallows in some nasty crap. Like, why do they do that?
Oh my God, they're like, I'm gonna mark my scent with that, and I'm all clean and sparkly. Oh yeah, there's something
Mm,
else. There's something else.
but you gotta love them.
I know. I love them. I
Mm,
love them. I had a pit bull for 20 years. I loved my pit bull.
yeah, I miss mine. Broke my
Yeah,
heart,
they're
like I said. It broke my heart. Okay, I don't want to go there anyway. So anyway, like I said, folks, it's Sunday, and I hope everybody's had a good one. If anybody knows me, they probably know every Sunday I watch The Simpsons. I mean, I've literally watched every episode since it began. That's if there's a show on TV, I watch that one. And
Mhm.
I'm telling you, folks, you have got to go watch tonight's episode that aired on Fox. It was a new episode too. I think it won't be available until tomorrow on Fox.com. But it literally is a show about what we're talking about here, higher minds, and the
Yep.
concept of God being everywhere, not some entity judging down upon us, but it being a part of us and the makeup. And they go into consciousness and the soul. And I'm telling you, you got to go see this. I can't believe they went there.
I
So
can't either. It,
yeah,
it with all the predictive stuff that shows you that this mass awakening is getting like
that's my
it's
point.
everywhere. Yeah.
I mean,
It
they
shows
went.
up on The Simpsons, it's gonna be like huge.
How many things have they predicted? I mean, I've done a show on it. I mean, it's
A many.
yeah.
More than I mean, yeah,
And,
uncanny.
and what
Uncanny.
was funny about it, like I said, I'll kind of give you a little overview of it. But it started off as Reverend Lovejoy ended up getting strep throat or something like that, and this young new ager came into town with his guitar, and he had his cross on and all this, and he had to end up preaching for Lovejoy. And but he was a new ager, and he kind of twisted in his whole what we're talking about here into it, and basically the church didn't have anybody in it when Lovejoy was there, and then all of a sudden everybody in Springfield's at the church.
Yep. Yep. Want to hear about higher consciousness and meditation and God is inside you and all around you. Yeah.
And it's not that feeling of being judged upon, it's the feeling of unity, being
Yes.
united as one.
Yes. Stop dividing and coming together. It's like, yeah, everything's flipping.
Yep.
It's flipping. And that happens when you connect to um your inner wisdom and your inner power, and a lot of that is the divine feminine too, which has so been thrown out of our systems of worship, religion. They don't want you tapping into that because God, they don't want you to be balanced.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I think it's all of it coming into the meditation and all that stuff. That's anchoring into the inner subtle wisdom, and that's a lot of the divine feminine and activating the Christ. It's a beautiful thing, and we're doing it. We're doing it.
Absolutely. And like
Yeah.
you said, I mean, it's on The Simpsons now, folks, so it's already been written.
Yep. And we're doing it. I mean, the Schumann resonance too. Have you seen? It's like not going back to normal. It keeps
That's what I'm
spiking.
saying. A lot of people in this community, or at least this is the way I feel, they feel like, oh, it's just this community, and it's not, it's everywhere. I mean, it's worldwide now. And I mean, that's another reason maybe for this lockdown. Like I said, but they don't realize that we understand we don't have to be together physically
Oh
as
God,
long as we're connected mentally.
well, like I said, I keep seeing that this is the time of backfire. It's like everything's going to backfire. And
No,
it's funny because I think this is going to backfire. All this slowing people down and making them look at things is not going to go well for them.
absolutely.
It's, yeah, lots of people are waking up in mass numbers right now because of this.
Yep.
So,
So
like I
now's the
said,
time to even shout even louder, people.
well, it was so funny too. And the Lord always said, I was like, why do you even let this stuff happen? And he showed me that. He's like, sometimes you need to take people down so they'll literally look at a different reality. Because most humans, they're creatures of habit. He showed me we're so programmed. We're like running on this wheel, and we're all in our own little realities running what we know. And that's kind of what we do. We do what we know. So he was showing me that. He's like, they do what they know. It's
Yeah,
like, it was kind of like there's no judgment to it. He goes, they do what they know. And he would show me like all the memories, and he goes, they do what they know. They do
right.
what they know.
Well,
I was like,
that's why it was refreshing to have somebody on like last night, Robert V, that hadn't went to hell and back. I mean, it seems like that was a similar story in most people, but that's why it was refreshing. And I thought about it this later too. Like that makes sense though. There's got to be just as many people out there enlightened or awakened, whatever you want to call it, that haven't been through it. Have had,
yeah.
come up in roses, so to say.
But like you said, for him, it was the internet.
Yeah. No, I
It
mean,
was,
curiosity, you can tell he's a
getting on
smart
the
guy too.
internet, and yeah, and see, but his spirit shook him up with that because
Yeah.
it blew his mind, so he
Well,
did,
that's what I'm
kind
saying. These waves of energy we call the downloads. It's a calling. I mean,
yeah,
it doesn't matter who you are. You hear the calling and you answer.
yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's see who we got with us real quick before I've already got way
Oh, and do you want to say
behind.
your thank yous for your donations before you get distracted?
I was getting to
Okay, I just wanted to
that.
remind
Yeah.
just so you didn't forget, because you're
I
like,
s-
don't
yeah, I
let me
seen them in chat, but one I
oh,
do
that's
want to say right off the bat is Lorelei. I don't want to say your last name, but Lorelei, whoever you are that donated the $50 yesterday or the day before, please email me again and let me know your YouTube handle. So, or if you don't mind me saying your last name, but I'd like to give you credit where credit is due. And
yeah.
since we're already there, of course, Robert V donated $50 the other day, and Big Al donated 100 today. So
You guys are awesome.
namaste. I mean, thank you so much. And like I was telling her, I've been pondering around, like, thankfully Zoom's taken care of now and next month. But also, I've been pondering about this telepathy course on Udemy that I've been thinking about buying, and it was $24.99 or something like that. And I was like, I don't know if I get. But I figured that was a sign that I should go ahead and get it. So hopefully, Big Al, you're going to be taking that telepathy because you're going to be paying for some of it.
Absolutely, absolutely. More wisdom, more
All
knowledge, more things to learn and look at.
right, here we go. It's going to be a fast one, folks. Dark Truth, Tufo Panda, Alex Fox, David Berry 75, Saturnian Sun, Big Al, Tufo Panda. Did I say that already? I don't know. There's Lady Spitfire. All right, now I can slow it down. Truth in Me, what's going on? Deborah Truo, Blanca Lagardo, welcome, welcome, welcome. David Berry. Who else we got going on here? Big Al, Big Al, Big Al, Saturnian Sun. Dark Truth, I'll say him again. I don't care.
Right.
Elsie Darling, what's going on? Jana Armstrong, been a while. Good to see you. There's Miss Jill Jarrett. Zigzagzilla, he's going to be getting on here soon. I saw that in chat last time we were in here, and I'm glad that you emailed me because I want to get you on here. So email me back and let me know when you're free, buddy. There's Miss Marsha Price. There's another one. Hopefully, I'm getting on this week. She's supposed to let me know. That should be. We're going to talk about the rods of Ra.
I can't wait. I
And
want to
all
hear
the
all
jewelry,
about
like
that.
she made this. It's Tree of Life crystal, like talent.
She made
So
me
many
think.
talented people.
Yes.
Tony Cherie, what's going on? There's Miss Delaney. Love, Joy, Wellness, Massage. Welcome, welcome, welcome. There's Miss Tribal 444. Good to see you. Barry Chad, what's going on? Dar Samuel, Jesse McCartney, how you doing? Divine Empress. Michelle Cannon Free, what's going on? There's Mr. Robert V again. Gerald M. Yates, welcome, 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 my friend. Pure Love Ascension.
Yay.
Here we go. I said that one. got that one.
You liking my caught up?
David Castler's on you. Good to see you, buddy.
David.
Need to get him back on here too. I'm thinking about doing a call-in show. It's just, man, the security on that right now is touch and go. Like I said, Zoom's been having some issues, so I'm kind of afraid to do the call-in shows. But we got a pretty good crowd there. There's Mama. What's going on, Mom? There's Mandy Moo. Good to see you. Who else we got going? Boy, they're just rolling in here. It's good to see everybody. Thank you so much for being here, for real. Judith Nolan, what's going on? Y'all better hit that like button. There's Miss Mary Wins too. Sparkles, good to see you. I love it, Sparkles. It just makes me smile. Miss Melissa Holland, how you doing? Shoot, boy, there's Johan.
Hi, Johan.
Who else we got? Oh, I caught up. Wow, good deal.
Hi,
the gang is all here.
Yeah, everybody's here. I didn't see Shannon. Where's Shannon?
Yeah, I didn't see Shannon.
Yeah, I'm like, where's Shannon?
She's probably cooking dinner or something. She's probably cooking dinner about this time. I think it's 7 o'clock out there, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yep.
That's what I thought. So
yeah.
All right. Well, hey, good timing too. It's 10 after. You got anything you want to add before we get her going?
No, I'm just ready to get into Hive Minds. Do it.
Right. I think
Higher Minds. I love it.
I
really love this book. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, me too. And like I said, I hope people are going back and reading it. And like I said, Robert Heath, I'm sure he's finished by now. He said he was pretty much finished the other night.
Well, it's so funny. Even The Simpsons is talking about this. It's like connecting. It's like people are learning to connect.
Yep.
That's it. And this is how you do it. It's through knowledge and self-exploration and meditation.
And like I said, once again, folks, for those who just joined us, if you haven't heard, you need to go watch the episode of The Simpsons from tonight. It was a new one. It'll be on fox.com tomorrow, but you need to go watch it. It's a must. Yeah. All right. Without further ado, we got chapter 37. I can't remember what I named this. Everything else is an illusion. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sure that falls into place somewhere. Here we go. Chapter 37.
Right on.
We speak of mind a lot, and it is not an easy thing to understand. There's a difference between the conscious mind, subconscious mind, superconscious mind, and universal consciousness. In a spiritual reality, it is all the same thing. But in the mind-created illusionary hologram we call our life, there's a big difference. We operate and function in the 4 environments differently and all at the same time. The physical conscious mind is simple. It is mostly contained in your brain with an open gate to the subconscious mind. Conscious mind is mostly an organizing and management device. The subconscious mind communicates both with the conscious mind and the superconscious mind. The subconscious mind holds one set of the long-term memory. It will mostly take for good and believe everything it is told. It creates subconscious mind programs on the basis of the data it is fed, and it runs that as movies, chatter, and private conversations in our head all the time. It has phenomenal capabilities. The subconscious mind can multiply numbers quicker than it would take to write the answer down. The superconscious mind is more elusive. It is a gate and retrieval device. It is basically an empty on its own. Whenever information is requested, I don't know what that said. Went too far. Information is requested from it, it goes and finds it somewhere in the universe. Remember, everything is connected through this sea of energy. The universal consciousness is the intelligent energy, bright white light of the universal Father's love, which permeates everything and everyone in all of its existence. It holds all knowledge and spiritual substance because it is all things and is the only thing real there is. Everything else is an illusion. There it is. Mm-hmm. Let us say you want some information. Your conscious mind asks the question to the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind looks around in a long-term memory and cannot find the answer. Then the subconscious mind sent a request to the superconscious mind for this information. The superconscious mind looks around in the creation and finds the information in another mind somewhere or with the universal consciousness. The superconscious mind then feeds the information back to the subconscious mind, which hands it over to the conscious mind, which delivers it to the conscious understanding. Now, did you get that?
Yeah, that is powerful. That's the whole higher self over soul. And then you're basically like your soul and then your human mind. That's your trinity of that, self, higher self, and then the over soul, which is connected to the universal God consciousness. I totally get it. That's brilliant.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But folks, you need to go back and read that. Like, it's so complex. Like, okay.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I love it. Yeah, I
yeah.
love it. I love it. I think
So
it's
there you have the answer you were looking for. All this is automatic. I guess we can say, wow, what a computer. As much as possible, we should try to look through the illusion of the physical and mental existence and look to the spiritual existence first, and allow for the spiritual and its energy to mold and create the physical and mental existence. Why should we do that? It is because if the self-limiting physical and mental mind gets out of the way, everything is automatic as it was meant to be when the creation comes from the universal consciousness. That is the way our creators were, and the way we should have been if we had not been degraded from the perfect human down to the Homo sapiens. The
wow.
mind to mind communication and this automatic two-way communication with the universal consciousness was removed from our genetic fabric. A time limit, an expiration or lifespan, was also imposed on us by allowing for the pituitary gland to degrade and the telomeres to shorten. We know now that all this can be corrected because aging is a disease and can be cured. The perfect human did not want to create his equal. When they created Homo sapiens, the Adam, and his mate Chava, Eve in English, they did not have our best interest at heart. We were created as a labor force for the gods of the time to work in their mining operations, to be obedient and not ask any questions. I know this will upset a lot of people, but go and look at the facts of junk DNA and genetics. It is obvious it has been manipulated and tampered with. The Sumerian tablets explain it very well how we came about. It is difficult to know the source of everything that comes to you from the subconscious mind. Through the superconscious mind, all subconscious minds are connected together through the large universe wide sea of energy as a network, as part of the universal consciousness. If the information you seek is coming from the universal consciousness, it is spiritual energy and has the love vibration attached. Therefore, it has the signature of love with it. That is emotion. If the information you're receiving has an emotional good feeling of love, excitement, or peace with it, it is the universal consciousness or God speaking to you. Holy cow.
Yeah, I was gonna say bingo.
Yeah, went a little too far there.
That's beautiful.
There we go.
Wow.
With some practice, you will have some control over the veil between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind.
Yep.
When you learn how to lift the veil out of the way, an unlimited storehouse of knowledge and new realities will open to you, the Akashic Records. This will
Yeah.
give you unlimited access. Remember, if you do not control your mind, someone else will, and they will use it for their purpose, not yours. That is what has been happening up till now for you, too. Most people have no clue what the combined multidimensional mind can do. Under hypnosis, I have seen a man sit at a table and read a book verbatim. Big deal, right? Well, the trick was that there was no book there. He was just told he was rereading a book he had read once before, and he was told it was laying on the table before him, and he could just turn the pages and read it. He could see the book in his mind, somewhat similar to the eidetic memory. It was there for him. I've seen people in classes I was teaching to assimilate the information from a book they had never seen before. As quickly as they turned the pages at 50,000 plus pages per minute, afterward they were given a written test with detailed questions from the book, and most of them scored in the 80 to 95 range, and some 100. This
Yep.
is not hypnosis. It is something that is called subliminal photography and taught in the Zox Pro Mind Management course. Under hypnosis, I saw a lady describe detailed accounts and happenings from her life 2,500 years ago, before she was born. She spoke a language and dialect that had been abolished for over 1,000 years. These are just things that I have been able to help people do with hypnosis and mind development. Yes, the mind is a wondrous place to play, and there truly are no limits. Try it sometime. I mentioned the Zox Pro training course. Check it out on the internet at zoxpro.com and you will be amazed. This course will teach you how to remove the barriers between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. It will show you how to develop a channel from the conscious mind into the subconscious mind where you get a two-way flow of information going back and forth. It teaches you how to assimilate information from a book at the rate of 50,000 to 100,000 words per minute. This is too fast for reading. The best speed reading courses are happy to get 3,000 to 5,000 words per minute. When you do 50,000 words per minute, it is called mental photography. You go as fast as you can turn the pages and take a mental photo of the page and place it directly into long-term memory. It bypasses short-term memory altogether. Later, you go to a long-term memory and retrieve the data using a specific method taught in the course. C&D students or worse in high school or college usually jump to much better grade levels after going through the course. A good friend and true pioneer in mind development, Richard Welch, who developed this process of communicating with the subconscious mind, created this course. Over 20 years ago, back in the early days when there was just him and me, I taught the course. It is a shame that these things are not taught in the public school system. Sorry, there was a slip of tongue. I should have said the public school system, but they want nothing to do with the course. They were offered to have it. The teachers in the school where it was presented were excited about it, but by the time it got to the political level in management, they turned it down. It will
Yep.
interfere with their jobs program. When we go to the universal consciousness for information, it does not usually come back to us in a nice book written form. It often comes in a form of inspiration, and we have to interpret it. Sometimes it comes, as I call it, as a bullet. All the information can come to you in the form of concept, substance, and detail, and it is downloaded into your consciousness in a matter of 2 to 5 seconds as a bullet. Once it is downloaded into your consciousness, it is perfectly understood. It will stay like that for a while and slowly fade. Short-term memory is tricky, so it is best to review it and record it on a voice recording device or write it down. I always keep a voice recorder within an arm's length. This kind of memory material is usually easier to retrieve from a long-term memory later, but do not take the chance of waiting a day or so before writing it down. The best way to use this information is to break up the concept into different sections of detail and then put it together where it belongs. Do not decide prematurely if you have a piece of information which does not fit in. Just leave it enclosed for later. It will usually fit in when you have more complete picture. And that is a download, folks.
Yes. Oh,
And
I
by
was
the
going to
way,
say, use the word download like
yep.
a bullet.
And by the
Wow.
way, I guess y'all got to look at one of the things we're going to be going over. That what he mentioned above. That's one of the things that we'll be covering with the telepathy.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So y'all don't have to buy it. I already got it.
Yay.
Anybody got any
Awesome.
questions?
No, nope.
No.
They're just chatting and liking some of it. Did anybody
Right.
have any questions that I missed? If you did, put it again in chat. But I didn't see anything.
All
I
right.
got sucked into the book a little bit a couple times.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
there was
hard
a
not
lot of
to.
information right there in that chapter 37.
And it's
Definitely go back
just
and
so much confirmation about all the stuff we're talking about.
yep.
Like
Like I said, it's funny how that works all the time, isn't it?
Mandy Moo says download, or is the information already there and it's triggered? I think it's just how he explained it. Like
Well,
how
yeah,
you,
it's part of the universal consciousness. It's part of the
yeah,
Akashic records or universal consciousness. It's
you
embedded in
go
our
and you
DNA.
retrieve it from
Yeah.
something, from somehow, some form of higher consciousness. You're grabbing it. So I don't know if it's a trigger. I think you literally, some things we have memory of, like you said, in our Akash, but other things that we don't, I think we do go to a higher consciousness to get them and we bring them back.
I mean, but it's there for you to retrieve. So
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because you are that higher self. You know, that's you.
Mandy, that was Mandy Moo's question.
Uh-huh. That was Mandy
Okay.
Moo.
Just want to make sure. All right. Well, cool. Well, chapter 38. Here we go.
Yeah, that 37 chapter was
Yeah, it's
wow.
golden. And like I said, if
Yeah,
anybody does want to go and look at it, that is one of the things we'll be covering. So,
that's
all right,
awesome.
chapter 38. Here we go. How memory works. It is a hard thing to understand. To have a little more rounded understanding of memory, you may consider this. There are several types of memory. We have short term memory, long term memory, eidetic memory. Eidetic memory is when you can bring up the piece of memory you are looking for and visually see it in front of you. There is also something called the Loki method, I guess. Spiritual memory or soul memory, past life memory, which is part of the soul memory, and universal conscious memory. They all overlap and interact in different ways. All memories are part of and accessible from universal conscious memory because everything is connected to and part of the universal conscious mind. All memories have one, there you go, he just explained it.
Yeah,
All memories have one thing in common. They will never reach conscious understanding unless the conscious mind gets out of the way and allows for the deeper memories to reach the surface. This is why we must train our conscious mind to do what we want it to do. Memories can be elusive since the teachers in schools did not teach us how to remember. They teach just sends us home and says, read this and remember it by tomorrow. Memories tend to get stored in memory package and in several places in the brain and the mind at the same time. You
yeah,
can also suppress a part of the memory package and the other parts that are attached to it are suppressed also. Or you can find and bring out one part of the memory package and that one part can pull out the rest of the memory package as it was connected with a string. Remember, your memory is perfect, but you never learned how to do the recall process properly. Colors, images, sounds, smells, and taste in association with feelings are easier to remember than words and numbers because they are stored in a place in the brain and mind where it is easier to access. So when you must remember the notes from your textbook, never use black ink. It is not really a color. Use red, green, or bright blue. Start each segment with a red, green, or blue dot or other symbol. While you are reading and making notes, it is very important to remember that both your mind and your body should be relaxed. Try to be in an alpha state of awareness. That is when your mind and brain wave frequencies are slowed down to between 7 and 14 cycles per second. This will give you the best access to long term memory. The same thing is true when you're trying to put something in a long term memory. It has to do with random, unwanted thoughts being put in as breaks in the memory stream, interlaced with the thoughts you want to place in the long term memory. If that happens, the material placed in memory is being broken up and scattered. Being relaxed and concentrated focus stops these unwanted thoughts from popping in and imposing themselves on the chain of information you want placed into a long term memory. It breaks up the thought, the chain of information, and confuses the mind so the information you want is scattered and placed in several different memory packages in different locations in the mind. In trying to remember something that is older than 30 minutes, you must reach into the long-term memory. That is best done when your mind and brain are putting out the most alpha brain waves in an alpha state of awareness. State your question of what you want to remember, then say something like, bring me the answer, or bring me the complete memory of. Then you can think of the red dot or the symbol you put in front of that in your notes. The red handwriting or color image you noted and envisioned with the memory package when you placed it in long-term memory. Some of these memory techniques have been taught in school, but it's never too late. Maybe this can give a better understanding of memory. There's a strange form of memory called pre-birth memory or past life memory. This is not very well understood at all, and no, it is not of the devil. It is exactly according to spiritual science. If we believe we have lived before, there must be a memory of it. Reincarnation was taught as an established fact by the old prophets. Reincarnation was common knowledge and taught in the Christian faith up to the year 325 until the church meeting in Constantinople, Turkey, when 220 of the most learned people of the time got together to decide what to teach future generations and remove the concept of reincarnation. This was in order to maintain an orderly society with them, the church, being in control. That is where they sifted, edited, rewrote the text of many old texts and burned the original scroll as they went through some 9,000 old scrolls and writings, and from that they created the first Bible. Still, there are countless people who have memories of previous lives. Under hypnosis, many have told of people and places, countries and continents far away, which were later verified. Some spoke foreign languages they had never learned in the present life situation when they described their past life. If all of this evidence of a previous life had been taken into a court of law and presented as evidence, there would have been a ruling in its favor a long time ago. At the end of your life cycle, all experiences you have had in linear time are combined and uploaded and stored in a small individual lifetime capsules of consciousness with the soul consciousness. These experiences add to the growth experiences of the soul and will remain with the soul until it returns to the great sea of light from where it came, where it will be shared with the all, universal consciousness. A universally conscious soul may have access to the higher knowledge, but because of its perceived individuality, it does not hold all universal knowledge in its presence. Even for the soul, higher knowledge is granted through individual experiences and on a want-to-know basis when requested by the mind of the host body. All this becomes part of the memory of the soul. Therefore, these experiences are what the soul is thriving on. There's another obscure memory retrieval method called the Loki method. It was known all the way back about 2,500 years ago. The Greek poet Simonides of Chios invented it in 500 BC. He called it the art of memory. Over the next century, it was introduced into the places of learning in the regions of the Middle East. This method taught the students how to remember, not just what to remember. It was standardized with rules and instructions by Cicero and Quintilian later. In short, it amounts to you read or observe with focused, uninterrupted thought. The uninterrupted part is very important. Stop at each break or chapter and convert what you have read or observed to vivid mental images and arrange them in an image or imagined architectural space. They call this place the memory palace. The mind will then put it into a long-term memory as a movie. It sounds like the Akashic Records. When you want to retrieve your memory, you just grab onto the beginning of the movie, you start pulling on it as a rope, and everything attached comes out. They claimed this method was almost perfect as a memory retrieval system, with some practice, I'm sure. As an example, history tells of Peter of Ravenna, an Italian author and lawyer, they call it jurist back then, wrote a textbook on the memory process in the 15th century. He is said to have memorized 200 of Cicero's speeches, the total lead canon of the day, and the complete text of the Bible. What do you think would happen if the students of today were taught something like this? The growth of the soul is achieved through the experience of the mental and physical body. I have another saying, just because you are dead, it does not make you smart. When a person with poorly developed spiritual consciousness ends their physical life cycle, he or she may never have consciously connected back with the universal consciousness, so they may be unaware of its existence. More life cycles are then needed so the soul can develop a deeper awareness of the spiritual and universal oneness. If they are submerged in dogma and superstition and believe they are going to hell, they may very well spend some time in the lower vibrations of the astral worlds that resemble what they believe, as that would also be a mind-created existence. Remember, in a mind-created universe, the hologram is provided what you believe strongly enough, and the subconscious mind programs are holding. This extends beyond the milepost of physical death. Whatever you believe passionately enough in your physical life will follow you into the next phase of your existence. And until you have been re-educated, your true life energy or soul are given a new body to play in. Nothing but the universal consciousness and its expression of the soul is real and immortal. It may take some contemplation to consciously understand that the universal consciousness or universal Father is all mind, life and soul of all there is from before the beginning of the universe until now. Therefore, there will be no end of time for the consciousness expression that is the real you. The soul
Yeah.
consciousness of you is immortal. For the mind created physical universe, there will be an end when it is no longer fueled by thought. While we're on the subject, what is immortality? We know the soul is immortal, but what about the physical body? I firmly believe that anything is possible. The Anunnaki gods written about in the thousands of years of the old Sumerian clay tablets were physical. Still, there are records of the same personalities being around for at least 30,000 years. Yes, I thought that gave you something to think about. We also know aging is a disease and can be cured. Physical aging is a combination of a genetic defect, nutritional deficiency, and a mental disease. We believe we are going to die because everyone does, and religion says so, right? We all seem to be longing for going to a better place after we die. This longing starts the mind drawing us in that direction. All this can be corrected. The technology is available now. There are records from the past of some extremely old people. In the 1930s, National Geographic went to South America and found a totally isolated tribe of natives, with many of the people over 130 years of age. A Chinese university professor came back to New York in the 1950s. He died from food poisoning while he was there. He did not look really young or look that old at all, but he was over 150 years of age. There are other accounts of extremely old people, and I will not say how old because you would probably not believe me. And then there was Methuselah. He was over 900 years old. Both Adam of the Bible and the Adam of the Sumerian clay tablets, same guy, written about 9,000 years ago, says there were over 900 years old when he moved on. There's obviously a capacity for physical immortality as long as there is a physical universe. Most of us believe we have to grow old and die. You must not have read the same NASA transcript from Deep Under that I have. It came from a report created under the Genome Project, the mapping of the human genetic code. It was titled, "The Problem of the Physical Immortality Has Been Solved." Of course, this was not made public. Can you imagine what would happen to a Social Security if people quit dying? Well, you understand. Here's something for you to ponder. What if in a mind created universe you quit believing you would grow old and die? Just because we are told that everyone does it, do we have to do it? What if you quit eating anything but natural raw foods as we were intended? Cooking the food will kill the food and it destroys the enzymes, which are so necessary for good health. If we look at our teeth and our digestion tract, it is obvious that we were intended to be vegetarians. What if you clean out and rebuild your pituitary gland by taking boron tablets, as many as have successfully done? The pituitary gland is what produces and releases human growth hormone, HGH, which is one of the major factors in keeping you young. You can do this by stem cell therapy and live cell therapy also. Both, of course, are basically banned in the USA and for research only. Should we wonder why? All this is so simple to do. The question then becomes, why would you want to prolong your physical life? Knowing it is an illusion. If you're on a mission for good and are in the process of creating something wonderful for mankind and the rest of the souls in the world, your spiritual growth, I can see it. You may want to prolong your physical existence until you have finished what you set out to do. But something gets really complicated here. If your life story is already written and sitting in the soup of creation, ready for you to walk into, how much of it do you control? Maybe the scenario is written in the soup that you are supposed to be 148 years old this time and finish something wonderful for mankind. Only you know the answer to that, but you do not remember. There's more power in a belief with total conviction that most of us can imagine. Everything that happens in your life starts in the mind. It has to do with acceptance and belief. Beliefs can be a key to open locked doors or tear down barriers. It can create whole new realities. It all depends on what you want it to be. Beliefs start out entirely physical. The effects on them can reach into the highest of vibrations in the spiritual. That is why beliefs are so dangerous. to our perceived schedule of our spiritual growth, but so necessary. We speak of the mind and its creation. So, what is a mind created holographic universe? First of all, the term universe is incomplete because there is more than one universe. We cannot see or enjoy any of the others by our physical senses. A universe is a separate density and vibratory level of existence. To encompass everything, a more appropriate term would be all of its existence or multiverse instead of universe. What is mind created? What does a mind do? It holds knowledge, thinks, and creates or manifests. All these things are within the scope of the universal consciousness or universal Father who just is. The universal mind has an unlimited creative power. All creative activity is founded in thought at all levels, including your part of it. The individual thought, creations, or manifestations are placed into the creation wide energy field by thought, through thought. From there, it can be retrieved and brought down into the physical. Spiritual thought is not solid physically. Mental thought can be. It can be measured and seen. Spiritual thought must be matched in imagery and vibration with physical or mental thought forms and lowered in vibration to bring it into physical form. This is what the minds do, and it is all thought and automatic. All creations will appear real, observable, and solid when observed by something or someone in the same density field or vibrational existence, but it is still only thought. It vibrates with the level of existence in which it is manifested. Your mind, everyone else's mind, and intelligence thought forms from the great sea of light or universal consciousness have by collective effort created this place we call our universe. Everything is created as a hologram. It is the medium in which the soul can interact, play, and manifest to serve the purpose and allow for education, which will further its growth. There are billions of creatures and creations with this energy field of the complete hologram. Space is full of life. These are physical creatures, mental creatures, and spiritual creatures, all self-developing, all on a journey, all created by universal consciousness through its many manifestations. Yes, even spiritual creatures we call angels, cherubims, sephirots, and creator gods of which we are a part of, we are all on a journey towards higher spiritual development, consciousness, and knowledge, all within universal consciousness, just as you are. Can you imagine what that means? What access do you think you could have if you could open the door to universal consciousness wide open and brainstorm? It is difficult to understand what source, universal consciousness, universal Father, God, and all these terms represent. It's also difficult to understand our relationship to it, who we are, and our capabilities. That is one of our life's missions. The simple way to explain the answer is that all those terms are the same, and you are it. It is you. You are one. The energy represented by all those terms is flowing through you at all times. It is just that you have blocked the understanding of it from reaching all the way to the conscious understanding, forgotten by allowing the ego to clog the path from the spiritual source. The ego is working overtime, creating interesting subconscious mind programs, movies, chatter, and private conversations in your head all the time to keep life busy and you distracted from who you really are and what you're truly capable of. When you unclog this path, you are able to see through it all. You see the promised land and new worlds are open up to you. You will never find the answers to this doing whatever everyone else is doing. It is on the road less traveled that you will meet yourself. Think of this, you are the one with the power, universal Father, and share the same creative power and consciousness. There is a simple way to compare it, so it is easier to understand. This may reflect my background from Europe, educated as an agronomist and forester. We can compare your soul and all the souls in the universe to, if you plant a specific tree, one who spreads by expanding its root system in the middle of an open field. When the tree starts growing, the root system starts expanding also. Every few feet from the root system will sprout a new tree. After a while, you'll have 50 or 100 trees in the field. They all look like separate trees, but they are not. They are just above ground expressions of the same underground tree and root system. It is the same organism. This tree produces nuts, bark, seeds, etc., and behaves according to its intended purpose and its inherent capability of intelligent expression. Its intelligent structure does not support a purpose of moving across the country at 60 miles per hour, building radios, or creating other forms of mechanical structures. Still, this tree is a part of the universal consciousness, has intelligence, and is created from love. That gives a new perspective on tree huggers, now don't it? They love
Mhm.
nature, they love God. The holographic image of humankind, on the other hand, was created for a different purpose. It is said man was created in God's image. Spiritually, I agree, but there may be some physical shortcomings on man's part. Consider junk DNA. We are told God does not make any junk. Well, it appears he does. So, what are the purpose of these loose ends attached to the double helix? What was it attached to? What was removed and why? What about the so-called indigo children who were born with some of these loose ends connected and gaps filled in? They
Yep.
also seem to have exceptional mental, physical, and spiritual abilities. It is becoming obvious we were denied some abilities we should have had. That is why I said earlier that whoever created mankind did not have our best interest at heart. We were created for a special purpose as laborers, subordinates, servants of the master race of people who, in their language, calling themselves gods, meaning great leaders. There's more of this elsewhere in this book, who this creator was and why we were denied access to the tree of knowledge. Science will find that we grow to a higher awareness on our way to connect back up with universal consciousness, that some of those gaps in the DNA structure will start to grow back and fill in. The trigger for this regrowth is spiritual awareness and purpose. One of the things that will become more and more apparent when the DNA starts filling in is that people will become more and more intuitive or psychic. This intuitiveness will become so strong that we will feel the oneness with our minds to the point we will be able to consciously know what is in their minds and what their thought are. This is not very far into the future. It's already happening. We've been talking about it. The indigo children are not the only ones. It's us, folks. This will happen as a slow transition over the next developing century. It's happening now. When you start seeing the effects of it, what has been secret will be discovered and fantastic new inventions will be brought forward. In the year 2030, it will be a commonplace for us to have automobiles getting 200 miles per gallon. Most automobiles will also run on alternate fuel systems, costing even less than gasoline. Oil companies have gotten into other forms of energy as well. Because of the rays of consciousness of the people, it will be difficult to lie and not be discovered. This will create political change because it will be more difficult for governments to keep their secrets and lie to the people. Because of this, governments as you know them will disintegrate because most of all, what governments are based on are control, lies, and secrets. After a collapse in general, a new form of self-governance will emerge, and this is what's happening, folks. This will be based on the idea that people actually can take care of themselves. As a benevolent force, people will create local self-governing communities for the benefit of all, including the ones who are not able to take care of themselves. Even the severely disabled or the ones who are today considered a burden on society will find a purpose and will be able to contribute to the common good. Together with governments, most religions will collapse, since many of them are based on the same principles as governments. A universal truth will emerge, which will give the power to the people, and the spiritual being underneath the body will be better understood. This is already happening, and it is lodged in the soup of creation. It is reflected in the many future timelines for the civilization of Earth. Nothing can stop it. But as the saying goes, it will get worse before it gets better. The beast will not roll over and die easily. This could be interesting for you technocrats out there to write a research paper about it. If you find a way to use high definition Carillion photography where you can see the bioelectromagnetic field around an organic structure. If you were to use an electron microscope on something similar, you will see that some of the gaps in the DNA structure and the junk DNA are connected etherically, bioelectrically, just not physically. Why would that be? This has not been discovered yet by science, but it will be. Go within and research this one on your own. You will be amazed at what you can find. Eventually, these gaps in junk DNA will start to correct itself as a part of the evolution towards higher spiritual consciousness. With higher spiritual awareness, we will know how to use the newly gained abilities responsibly. Another thing you can do is to consciously connect with the junk DNA. Remember, in a mind-created universe, go to the library or the internet and research what junk DNA look like. Then you can visualize it connected and turned on. The mind can do that. There is a
Yep.
book with the title, How to Reprogram Your DNA for Optimum Health by Adele Lebrecq. It is explaining solid medical research through epigenetics. The mind can reprogram the DNA. It can turn on or turn off genes in order to benefit your health and longevity. If you're predispositioned for a specific form of cancer, you can consciously turn off the gene that has that marker. This is the science behind spontaneous healing, which no one could explain before now. This will be a big part of the future of medicine, and even now very well explained through quantum physics. In a mind-created universe, your mind also controls the DNA. Nature has a way about itself. Are you starting to get a true picture of the power of the mind?
It's unbelievable. I've seen people do this. They've activated genetic codes that were like dormant, and I've seen these spontaneous healings. This is profound information. I'm like loving it.
I
I'm
mean,
like,
I thought
yes.
the first chapter, and then we're getting into this one, and like I could have stopped like 20 times and discussed different things, but I had to keep soldiering through. Like,
Do you want to answer a couple questions, or do you want to continue and stop
no,
at a different
we
place?
can stop for a second because holy
Okay.
cow.
Okay, Dark Truth was asking if we think that this is an esoteric reality or a Gnostic reality. And I saw Saturnian Sun said, I think it's both. And
That's
I would have,
exactly what I was going to say. I
yeah,
think
I
it's
was gonna
both.
say I think I would have to concur with that as well, because it does appear to me as both. And what would you think, Brian?
I'd definitely say both.
Me too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's like I said, that's the first thing I thought, and you said that he said both. Yeah.
Yes, I think so, because the esoteric is the invisible part from the higher realms, and the Gnostic part, that part of it would be the more matter and the esoteric coming into form. It would be more of the lower, a
As
drop.
above, so below.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, so they're one in essence. So both, I would see both. Yeah. And then Al had a question too, and I'll give me just a second to
I'll
find it.
take your time, Lord. I'm glad to take a break.
Right? I was gonna say it's good, huh? You get a little break. Okay, let me go
Yeah.
because there's a lot of chat going on. So just give me a second.
My voice was getting a little cracky.
Yeah, take a drink, get a breather. This is profound information too
That's
that you're sharing right now.
wow.
It is. It's mind blowing. It's literally. It is. It is the truth. It's
And
really.
I mean, it's literally what we're doing right now.
And this
This
is
is
how you
what we're
change the world.
doing.
Yes, and this is literally how you change the world. Lord showed me this when I was a little girl over and over again. Don't forget, you came to be like Jesus, which meant doing all these things, activating the consciousness, activating your superpowers through these mental practices. And like I said, hypnotherapy. These things are powerful. I mean, when you can hypnotize somebody on a stage show to see their kid as a banana, this is powerful stuff, you know? It really is, because they really do see their child as a banana. I mean,
Absolutely.
it is profound what you can do through these practices. And when you use them for good and you use them to heal, holy moly, it is amazing. Okay, Al's question, I found it,
Okay.
was Brian, is this existence an illusion or a distraction for the truth of source?
Well, I mean, this we are living in an illusion, and I
Totally.
mean, everything around you is a distraction.
Yeah, and I think that's the whole thing. It's like,
We're
can
not
you
supposed
be
to be living like this. This is not what we're supposed to be doing while we're here. We're
No, I
supposed to be,
literally think our spark got stolen somehow, and they figured out how to clone it. They figured out how to fractal our spark somehow or something. And through that process, we've been fractaled down, and through that fractaling down, we got weak enough to where we could be brought into a creation that could be basically enslaved.
yeah. Well, like
And
you
they
said,
had to
we were
shut
brought
our
in as a
power off.
slave race, you know.
Well, that's what I'm saying, and they had to literally shut off our natural abilities
But
because
like he said also though, but we can reprogram it.
oh, we
We
can,
can,
we can, we can.
yeah.
Yes, we can.
So and that's one of the courses that's in, that's one that's going to be private. And by the way, I'm going to talk about that for a second. I've kind of figured
Yeah.
out that this telepathy coming up, I am going to do most of it live, but I am going to do a off air kind of private thing because to be honest with you folks, some of this it's going to get down to the bare, like where you're going to have to be open, and I don't want to do that live on air. So I think that's something that is going to be a, you know, invite request sort of deal. So,
Hmm.
but like I said, we will cover lots of good things on here, but there's some things that just can't be done live and on
No,
air. So,
and we'll figure it out how to make it work the most effective for
yeah.
us. Yeah.
And Robert V says, you know, that this guy, yeah, he is still alive, agnostic, and he's got a YouTube channel. And so y'all go check it out. I have sent him an email to ask him if he would do a show. I told him I was doing, you know, covering his book, and haven't heard anything. So I'd love to get him on here. And then I saw Think Agape Love Always and Forever said, Brian, so if we create with our thoughts heaven on earth and live it free of fear, does this extend our lives? I would have to think absolutely.
Oh, bingo. I
Although we are eternal beings, is age just a number physically? Yeah, here in this
It's not
3D
just
reality.
that. Like I'm reading the Alchemy series right now with Master Saint Germain. I mean, this guy has been noted throughout history with the aristocrats, the royal families, the highest of governments, and I mean, he could speak like ancient languages. He could speak multiple languages. He was seen throughout ages of time and never aging. Now, these things people are told aren't possible, but we know breatharians now,
Yep.
they can literally survive on light
Yep.
and breath. So, you know, people that do a lot of sun gazing and are living off the light, these things can be done if practiced and mastered.
But then
We
you don't want to just you know, quit eating and start
no,
sun gazing and think that's
no,
going to
these
work.
things require a lot of work, a lot of discipline. Yes, a lot. But like I said, when you do like deep trance work and stuff like that, you can literally go in and literally go in and talk to your higher self about a telomere extension.
Yeah.
And if all three agree,
Well, like I said,
uh-oh.
I mean, just
But like I
believe in
said, guys,
yourself. You can do it yourself.
yes. And like I said, though, you got to be careful what you ask for.
Yeah.
Really seriously. Okay, so if you decide to extend your life, say typically 70 to 80 years longer than everybody else around you, are you going to be okay with
Are
watching
you prepared for
everyone you
that?
love die?
Yeah.
Right. These are things you really need to look at with a balanced mind because higher knowledge requires higher consequences. So, I mean, it's real serious. So, when
And
you're
comes great
manifesting,
responsibility.
it really does. So if you're going to manifest things or want to do things in your body, first of all, you need to ask, is this serving the will of
For
creation?
the
For
greater
where
good.
we're at as a species right now,
Yep.
is this in accordance? Will this benefit the whole, or is this a selfish thing? You really got to ask yourself these questions before you truly go in to make any of these modifications through your mind because it literally can be done. But like I
Yep.
said, if you do wrong, boy, you will suffer greatly for it.
Yeah.
So
Speaking
warning.
of questions, we got a couple more. Bree Cozy said, was the first Adam maybe from Tiamat, different timelines, hence the longer lifespans? I,
I think. Bingo. Yeah.
Yeah, I really I can't say either way. I
I
mean,
think the Atom template came from Tiamat because I think Tiamat is actually Earth. Earth comes, I think, from Tiamat. I think Earth it was really birthed from Tiamat. And I keep getting this information. I have no way to validate it, but I think Mars and Venus were as well.
yeah.
So the bigger planets were not. But I think the three smaller planets that we see are actually those are remnants from Tiamat. And I think so. The atom templates were on Tiamat and they were much larger because Tiamat was huge. And our bodies, I think, grow according to our planet. So that would make sense that the giants would come from there. It just makes
Right.
a lot of sense to me. But I think, now we're looking at those were like more of an original template. We've been really modified since then. I'm
Oh,
pretty much
absolutely.
seeing now we've got like at least 12 different lines of extraterrestrials in our genetic codes now. And
Uh,
in the beginning, you would think, oh my gosh, that's a train wreck. But when you look at genetics, diversity actually creates a much stronger genome. So it looks like with all of this modification that they were trying to dumb us down with by putting more of these genes in that would make us more suppressive race, those invisible junk DNA codes, I think, are the aspects of those races that are brilliant and powerful.
I think that junk DNA is literally our superpowers, and
I
we
do
just
too,
reactivate them.
yeah, and I think it's growing back, like you said, Brian. I think
Yeah.
it can grow back together and repair itself. This is what the
I
ascension.
mean, you think about when your body
Yeah.
heals itself is during sleep. So when you meditate and go into those same cycles that you're going into in sleep, you're literally healing yourself as you're meditating. Got
Yes.
another question real quick. Truth in Me says, if we are the creators of this world, then did we not all create this to see that we are creating this? Well, you got to, this is what I'm gathering from your question is we've constantly been programmed from birth, literally from birth, where, from the little whatever they sing to us, all those tales and they read to us, all that is programming. I mean, go back and read and look at, the cartoons and read the children's books. It's constant programming. So they programmed us into this reality. So I'm saying if you could maybe be born on an island like some of these, inhabitants out there that never get exposed to this. I mean, I'd love to talk to them and see what their reality is
They-
that's never been affected by civilization. There's
I was gonna
there's
say,
still
I
a few
think they're
tribes like
closer.
that out there.
Yeah, I think they're closer to spirit than we are because they
Oh,
are connected
absolutely.
to nature. And it's like from what I'm hearing from her question is like, are we did we just come here as a test to see, if we could remember what we are, where we are? I think kind of that was a lot of it was, originally to separate out from source as a separate piece of source, you become an individualized being. And through that individualization, we can drop as far down, all the way down into these third dimensional constructs where you're completely wiped with amnesia, have no remembrance of who you are, have profoundly powerful magnetic grids, electro, radio, microwave signals bombarding you, religion teaching you to go outside of yourself, a government, control, control, control. For you to find your way through a matrix like this is gonna, I think, for your soul's evolution is gonna be quite an accomplishment. So
That's
just to have the awareness of that most of us have in this community, just with that, is a profound accomplishment within this matrix. So yeah, I think we did come here to challenge and find our way back to source, and in an all eventuality we're seeing this time and time again. That's by finding the reconnection to yourself. My little puppy agrees.
feeling the energies.
Yes,
Trying to see if we
totally.
have any more questions here. Lord, I got way behind.
I hope that answered her question between the two. Hi, Cody.
Okay, I think I'm getting there. Wait a minute, I think we got another here. Lady Spitfire says, I was wondering statistically how low on the totem pole is how many like-minded people there are here in Georgia. Well, I mean, you're about in the same situation that I am here in Tennessee, but to be honest with you, I'm encouraged when I talk to people, like I said, because when I go out, I talk this stuff when I talk to normal people out here. Sometimes I blow people's minds, but I'm pleased to say that a lot of people are becoming more consciously aware. So
You know, we've seen, I mean, all the people who have been doing this, like me, I've been watching this movement for about 30 years now. And over 30 years, guys, you wouldn't believe the difference. I mean, it's like, oh man, it's night and day from how many people were aware then to now.
yeah,
It's off the hook. But this whole thing that's happening right now to us collectively as a world, okay, even when 9/11 hit, that caused a big ripple in our consciousness, and it caused big changes in our reality.
well, I mean
And
that
those
was basically a big ritual anyway.
Correct, and those went into a lot more control. Well, this one, like I said, was meant to completely control the entire world, and I think it might backfire and absolutely create the opposite, because I think this thing has created the biggest awakening that we have seen since
Yep,
2012.
yep. They waited too long.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
It,
listen to what Zigzagzilla says here. It says, when you meditate and travel through your chakras with a pure heart, you'll really see the connections between what you see outside is what is going on the inside. Planets are your organs and chakras. Yeah, that's
yeah,
beautifully said. I can't wait to get you on here.
bingo. Yeah, that's beautifully said. Beautifully said. And
And
that
then,
is so true.
and Truth in Me says, if we agreed to come here, then every thought we have is to teach us to love even the face and adversity without fighting and killing.
Yeah.
It's all in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah. Well, like I said, this is a planet of free will, and that's why it does have so much diversity. But for you to be tested in anything, you have to be brought into a phase of duality where you have to have choice.
Yep.
Because see, if you're not in a dualistic system, you're into a oneness, unity consciousness, like I said, the higher mind. So there is no separation. It's all oneness, and you understand this, so there is no separation. But when there is duality, you do have that separation, and you do have the opposites, and that's what gives you free will.
Yep.
So yeah, free will is I think the biggest element of that.
All right, you ready to finish this up? It's already been an hour plus.
Oh shoot,
We
yes,
got,
let's go. We got questions rolling, and they're good ones.
all right, we'll get to it. It shouldn't be much longer. Here we go.
Okay.
Mankind's different purpose is supported by a higher capacity of utilization of universal consciousness. Once we have well, once we have conscious understanding of our connection, we have no limitations on our power and ability to manifest into the physical realm. Never forget the source you are connected to is entirely spiritual. The genetic manipulation in creating the physical part of us does not matter. Now, when we have a roadmap, we can still get there. We can reclaim ourselves when we know we are gods, creator gods. That is not one to be individually worshiped, but celebrated as a part of the whole infinite, intelligent, universal mind. And there we go.
Bingo. And see, that's what I have always been shown at the highest level. If you want to really know how God really works, it has no judgment, it's kind of indifferent. But the highest way to communicate and connect with that is through, how can I work with you? When you go in with the I want to cooperate, I want to work with the whole for the
The
highest good of the
unity.
whole. I want to create for the whole. How can I create what I want to see? Only if, and show me how, to where it serves everybody. When you think in those terms, man, the manifestation and the inspiration that comes in is super high level, because I think it's working with the highest levels of creation. It literally is cooperation. I've seen this over and over again.
And
That's why,
folks, I'm telling you, if you came in late, go read chapters 37 and 38 again.
Oh, they're mind blowing. They're so good. They're
Yeah.
so good.
I mean, like I said, it basically describes what we are
Like I
doing,
said,
what
us
you're
doing this,
witnessing.
Brian, we're like everybody's a god, but when we come together like this, it's like all these gods coming together and it creates a god force. Powerful.
We're powerful stuff, folks.
Yeah.
And that's powerful stuff.
Yeah, it's powerful.
So that was a good one. Like I said, lots of truth bombs. I'm still just like, I'm going to go back and read those two again.
Oh, I am too.
Yeah.
I might go meditate while this is on because boy, this is gonna launch me off into Never Never Land into some good territory.
And that's something else, folks. I want to keep encouraging you. Like I said, pick a friend that you feel safe with. And like she was saying, meditate together at the same times and try to connect, because I'm telling you, we're already connecting telepathically. I promise you.
I know.
We are.
Yeah, I think so. I know.
So,
I've seen some of you all.
so I'll see you on the other side, but we will be back tomorrow night.
Yeah, I think that'll be good. Yeah,
Anything you
I
want to
love
say
this
real
book.
quick?
I'm gonna be sad when it ends. I really like this material.
Oh, like I said, telepathy's right around the corner.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I'm still gonna. I mean, this one's been phenomenal. Really
We're going to end the stream at 11:11.
Oh, gotta
Awesome.
love it.
Yep. So Trina, once again, thank you. Like I said, folks, we will be back tomorrow night. I want to thank Big Al once again, Robert V and Laura Lai. Please let me know your information so I can give you a correct thank you. Folks, we're just getting started, and it is a beautiful world we're creating. So please go out there and create.
Yes. Yeah.
Be the frequency you want to receive. I love you all, folks. Y'all have a wonderful night. See you tomorrow.